Hello everybody, welcome to the sound test room. Today we are taking a look at the iPolysix standalone, the ancient iPolysix. Okay, thanks Joe. So, the iPolysix came out many years ago. And it when it first came out, there was no AUV3 or Interrupt or anything like that. In fact, it's still not AUV3, but it does have its own gadget. But it's a fun, if not a bit tedious sequencer. But that's what we're gonna have a mess around with today. We're gonna have a mess around with the standalone. Just for fun, you know, for no particular reason. It hasn't had an update or anything, although it is maintained, of course. But it does sound really nice. So you can play the iPolysix, of course, and program it like any other synth, which is really good. If we hit this little button just below where it says synth here, it opens up our sequencer section. So you have two iPolysixes that you can play with, two sequencers that you can sequence notes in. Trust me, it's much easier to actually input the notes instead of trying to play them in, because the timing is absolutely chronic. And then it has a drum machine here. We've got like this, and we can do the drums and the steps, and it's cool. You can change the sounds, and you can have instrument sounds on the drum, albeit it's not as good as the synth. It's still the synth, and you can still program and manipulate the sounds in the drum machine as well. They're all created by the iPolysix synth. Right, let's just, for the initial start of this, I'm not going to program it. It's pretty straightforward analog synth. It's nothing mega complicated. But the most fun part, although it, like I said, it's a little bit tedious, the most fun part is actually programming the sequencer and the patterns and things like that. Yeah, the drum machine's good. The whole thing is really good, and I think if you've got this, you should definitely take the time to have a dig around and have a play, because you'll come up with some quite interesting stuff, and it's fun, you know. Anyway, so what we're going to do is tap on the little file icon here and just create new. Are you sure? Okay, and now we've got a brand new thing, sort of thing, and it's now this has some superpowers. I tell you, I'm not kidding. Some really clever stuff which I'll show you. So a basic sawtooth wave there, and then we have some presets we can access here in a moment for, you know, changing the sound. Right, what we're going to do is I'm just going to hit play, and this is your initial kind of thing that you get when you start. There's a couple of different operational modes here. At the moment, you'll see here it says pattern, and if I tap this button here, you'll see we have patterns. And you have up to 32 patterns over these two pages here. Okay, so we're going to concentrate on pattern 1 for a moment, and we're going to make pattern 1. Now, this is where you need to keep track of what you're doing, because it can become very complicated very quickly. So I am just going to have 16 patterns here for now. The tempo is here. It's on 120. The swing is set at, there is no swing at the moment, and pattern lock, I'll show you what pattern lock is. It's nothing, but at the moment pattern lock is switched on. Okay, so let's just tap outside the box and we get back to this. Let's look at sequence 1 here, and you will notice, I don't know if you can notice actually with the way this is, but there is a little red dot here just at the beginning of this sequence. Hear this, and I'll say, there it is when it tracks through. You can also set your sequence, your step zone up to 64 steps. We're going to stick with 16 for ease, but you can have up to 4 bars of sequence per pattern sort of thing, and you can change that for each pattern if you want it. And then you have an octave zone here, up and down. Now, to input notes, I can, if I take this little, if I tap that little switch there, I can actually record it in with my keyboard, but it's absolutely junk. The timing is absolutely naff, so I'm just going to stick with this basic wave sort of thing. So we'll hit record, hit play, and we can see a track along. See, the timing is absolutely chronic. So I'm just going to tap on here, and this is pattern 1. I'm just going to hit clear, and it's just going to clear what I've just recorded and put it back to a default thing. So it's absolute junk. Yeah, it's a little bit like the MS-20. Well, it is a little bit. It's like the MS-20, but this is actually a bit better than the MS-21. So the easiest way to do this is to throw your keyboard to one side and put it all in by hand. Now that's all very well, but it's a little bit time consuming if we want to do anything too complicated, and you've got to know what you're doing, of course, you know. So, and I can see the chords I want to put in, but this is what we're going to do. We're going to put some chords in, and so we're just going to stick with 1 bar per pattern. Otherwise, it's time consuming, but you can create some really, really great stuff. So for this first one here, which starts on a C, I'm going to actually have that as a C, so a chord. So I'm just going to put in the chord. So now I've got this chord, which is a C. Actually, no, I'm going to do this. So now we're playing a C chord. So there's a C chord, right? And then on this second part here, I'll just put this into an A minor. So I'll just hit so there's our A minor, and then I'll go down a little bit further and I'll stick an F in here just for fun, yeah. So we'll go so there it is, and you can hear it gating itself because we've only entered 1 note at the beginning of the sequence. If we want our notes to count sustain, all we need to do is put another one next to it like this. And we could do that with this one as well. And we'll do it with the third one as well, our third F. And you've got some gate controls here. So you don't have to have it sustaining sort of thing. Now this is where it starts to get a bit cool. This is where we can choose our new sound that we want. So let's go. Sounds a gazillion times better already, right? If we go to our mixer, we have a mixer here. And our mixer, we can have one kind of send effect for our mixer. And at the moment, it's a whole reverb. So I'm going to leave it on whole reverb because I don't want to put delays and stuff on the master channel. We do have effects controls, of course, for our synth. We can have 1 effect per synth and per drum sound sort of thing. But if I switch the effect on, turn the mix down for the kick drum, the effect mix. Effect is still coming through. right, that's why. That's the kick drum. Synth 1, Synth 2, kick drum. Okay. So let's say we're happy and it's just one bar. No, this is still not a UV. Trust me, it's never going to be a UV3. Okay, so it's too old. The code is too old for them to make this a UV3. They'd have to rewrite the code, I think. Sam will probably be able to tell you a bit better. Anyway, doesn't matter. We're on pattern, so I'm going to go into my pattern section here. And this is where it starts to get, you can start to kind of build your song. So all I'm going to do, right, is here it says we have our utility section where we can swap patterns around, we can copy patterns, or we can clear patterns. Okay, so I'm just going to hit copy, and it's going to say copy, select sound source. Well, yeah, I'm going to keep this straightforward, right? So I'm going to copy pattern 1, and it's going to say select destination pattern, pattern 2. Now, if I play now, they're identical. And this is this lock pattern change lock thing. If I switch this off and I change pattern, it's just changing it. And don't worry, there is a song mode which is super powerful. But if I change now, it just instantaneously changes. Whereas if it pattern change lock is on, it will wait. So you can kind of perform like this if you want to go back to our pattern. You can use that to perform if you want to, but you know, it doesn't matter. So now we've created pattern 2. We can go into our drums, right? And we can say, right, okay, well, I've got this kind of kick drum going on here. There's six drum tracks that you can use, right? So for instance, let's just, for the sake of this, let's just put these hi-hats in, right? And now on pattern, so don't forget we're working on pattern 2. It tells you you're working on pattern 2. So we've added a little bit of variation with pattern 2. But we can change out all these sounds. Now, like I said, it's not as, the presets aren't as huge or as fast as, but it's still basically, it's a mono, it's working as completely mono synth now. But you can also play them in with, but you'll have the same problem, trust me, so you might as well just actually program it. Again, we have up to 4 bars of pattern length we can have, but I am still keeping it at 1 bar because otherwise we're going to just be here forever, and you really don't want that. Now, so if we open this now, you can see we're on steps mode and sequencer. If we go to any of these drums, so for instance the kick drum 1 here, we can see the steps for that kick drum. If we go to our hi-hat, which was drum number 4, you can see them down here, and you can actually change the pitch of stuff now. So we could go with a bit of variation, you know, or we can go into the synth engine for the hi-hat, and now we can when you're in the synth engine, you won't hear the synth sequence. I think this is probably a good idea because you can hear the drum sound you're working on. And we could go to the kick, and now we're on the kick sound, and you can dial in a nice kick sound. This is really nice, it's really useful, and interesting. And you've got like some effects here. We have a master compressor, and then we have another multi effect we could use, you know. Nice. I'll leave that distortion sound on there. And we maybe make it a bit more 808-ish, which is quite nice. So we've made a few adjustments to the actual drum. And then we can go back to step. And this is pattern 2 still, so let's stop that. Okay, so let's look at pattern 2 and copy that to pattern 3. So now we've got a little variation pattern. We know this if we start on pattern 1. Now, did you hear that? Pattern 1's kick drum is what it originally was. It hasn't changed. This is really good. So for every single pattern, you can change the sounds completely within the synth and also for the drums. So see the kick's got more oomph now, and that's good. So we're going to copy pattern 2, sorry. And what we're going to do now is use the drums to put some synth in, because we can do that. Okay, and also what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this, right? So let's go to the synth a sec. So this is synth 1 and it's pattern 3, right? So I've changed it. If I go back to the patterns now, listen. It's what it was. And let's go to our drums and put in some awesome. So that's pattern 3. So we can go back into, and don't forget, I'm on also now show you how to, yeah, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to go into pattern and this is pattern 4. So I'm going to copy pattern 3. I'm going to put some bass in now, but using the drum machine. So we'll go to our drums here and we shall look at drum number 6. Now I'm going to go to sequence and number 6 here. And I think my key would have been, what did I put in first? Was it a C? Might have been a C. We shall soon find out. I'm going to put this C3 in. If I go down here, C3. I'm just going to do this, just for now. I'm just going to put in these. And this will be a percussion sound, pattern 4. So we can hear that percussion sound, right? Let's go to, and we know we're on drum 6. So go to synth. Let's do this, shall we? Factory sounds. And now these are kind of drum programs that they've put in for us that we can of course change here, but they are mono. So I'm gonna to go back to sequence. And there it is, our C3 bass line. Let's do this, go maybe an octave. Go to the synth. Awesome, and then we could put a bit of reverb on that. So let's go to our mixer. We know it's this, so So pattern 5 now. We could introduce some more drums, I think, to pattern 5. That might be nice. So pattern 5. Steps now. So, drum number 5. So this is, we could introduce, excuse me, pattern, and like I said, don't forget you've got 32 actual patterns that you can build up if you want to. Right, okay, so let's go back to our synth section here and let's choose synth 2. And it's going to default to this octo reso bass thing, and if we go to our sequence, there'll be nothing there, so let's change the sound to something like this one. I'm just gonna to the synth. Go back to synth 1. That's a new sound that we've put in. Okay, so let's have a quick listen. We can automate everything in this. I think Sam said earlier, if you long hold, it brings up an automation thing for you to use. And again, you can automate across the entire 4 bars, but we've only got 1 bar, so this is important to remember. So we can automate the actual hi-hats to be hard left and hard right. Let's just set this properly. Or if that was kind of too extreme. You have to be accurate though. Right, so theoretically now we should get the hi-hats, if we solo them, we should get the hi-hats kind of now. Oh, here we go, see? We can go back into pan. Now there's not a hi-hat on every step. So for pattern 5, let's go into our drums here. And for pattern 5, let us put this hi-hat, closed hi-hat on every step, see? So now we've got this kind of cool automation going on. Now you can literally automate any button. You can just hold any button and it will automate. You can set the automation for that, like we could do it with the resonance or the cutoff or whatever you like. So yeah, it's very cool. Let's go back to our mixer and okay, so time is how much you want to spend on adding more patterns and stuff like that. Now, where did we get to? Pattern 7? Pattern 7. So now we've got 7 patterns. We can arrange these, excuse me, we can arrange these patterns now into, we've got swing as well. Let's add some swing, see what happens. That's quite nice. leave it at that. So now we've got a bit of swing going on as well. Okay, and we know we haven't got anything in any other patterns, but you can go up to 32 patterns, changing the sounds out, making new patterns and stuff like that as you go, which makes it quite powerful, really. Okay, so let's see. We've done that. Let's go now. This time, let's tap this, and now we're in song mode, right? Now we tap this, it's going to look different. Now we have our song mode, and we can have up to 32 steps in our song mode, and you'll see all our songs and patterns are listed here. See, 32 like this, and you have 16 steps. Now I think you can probably, I'm not sure if you can have more. I think you can. Yeah, now you can go up, right? I'm not kidding. Like it is vast. It goes really high. I'm not sure how much, but it does go really high. We can scroll back really fast by just holding. But let's stick with pattern 1 now. If I put pattern 1 in there, it's just going to go pattern 1, and it's just going to keep looping it, because you see these are our loop points for our actual song mode. It's just going to go backwards and forwards. That's it. So if I put another one in here, it's still only going to loop pattern 1, right? So what we need to do is tap on the next, and then tap. This is tricky to explain, so I'll explain it over 16. It's easier, or 4, so you can see. To set the loop point of the song, this is key, because otherwise you'll be all over the place. You'll be trying to drag it and it won't be working, and it's a nightmare. To set the loop point of the song, you tap the initial loop point, and then you tap where you want the loop point to be, like this. And now we'll have 4 loops, right? Well, and then it will stop because there's no other pattern information. Okay, and even if loops on, it doesn't matter. However, if you set your loop point to be 2, like this, remember, select one of them and then select where you want that loop point to be, have your loop on, it will loop back now. So if you have loop off, it will just stop again. So let's leave loop on. This is all right, but I mean, if you've got a massive song, you might probably not want it to loop back. So we're going to tap our first one, and we're going to set it here. So now we've got a loop of the entire first 16 kind of song positions, if you like, and each position being 1 bar, whatever. So we've got pattern 1 for twice, and then I'm just going to put pattern 2 in like that. And then I'll put pattern 3 in for twice, pattern 4 in, 5, 6, and 7. And then just go back to pattern 2 like this, and this is where you've kind of built your song, and that's it really. That's the whole app, apart from other cool stuff you can do, of course, like the automation, things like this. But let's listen to how that sounds now. And then it'll stop because we didn't have our loop switch on. And that, guys, is basically it. That's how you do it. You can build up, and don't forget as well also, when you've got all this done, just go save as and give it a name. I'll just call it live stream, and then go okay, and then that's saved, live stream, and your song is completed. Your song is done. and you've wasted some time building up some cool kind of 80s stuff with the iPolysix. It's really good fun. It's a nice synth. Well, like I said, if we go into synth, anything that we hold here, like for instance resonance, and we let go, you can program in resonance curves and things like this. Very, 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 very easy stuff. Anyway, guys, quite a short one tonight. That's okay. And I'm sure you all have better things to do than listen to me. Anyway, bless you all. Thank you so much for joining me this evening, where we took a bit of a look at how to program in the actual sequencer for the iPolysix, and you can change sound and stuff. And yeah, it's just a bit. It was cool 80s beat up, but it is a bit long. I don't know what. Oh, long, but it is a bit. No, I agree 100%. It is a bit long-winded how you program this. You have to kind of be in the zone and want to make the effort to program it. It's a very similar thing to programming the IMS-20. It's good fun because it just puts you in a different frame of mind for programming stuff, and it's, you know, it's. I mean, I would never. You would never bother, would you, now, to do it like this? But I think that if you've got it, you might as well go, well, I'll have a go. It's interesting when you start to modulate stuff. Modulate stuff. You know, automate different things and different bits and pieces. Like, for example, I'll get back into pattern mode, and we're in pattern 2. Let's do a bit of automation on there. Maybe bit of automation on there. This gets quite interesting. And it's cool because this is only per pattern. If we run our patterns, go out of there, we've got no automation. It's actually really, really powerful if you think about it. You know, if you get your head around what you can actually do. So now, all that cool automation back. None on this one. Let's do something with this one. Let's maybe, we're on synth 1. Let's change that sound. Not a square wave, is it? Let me put it on to change this to a It's fun to play with, I kid you not. Don't forget, if you've made any adjustments, to save what you've done. So you can automate everything. Have a bit of a a mess around programming. Go into song mode. Let's see, and there's our song in it. Play our song. So what I shall do is I shall play the song one more time, and I'll probably put it on loop and let it loop around a couple of times for you as well. You say ta-ra to each other or whatever. Well, that's another good thing, isn't it, Colin? Because we're lucky because we have the opportunity to play with all this old stuff, especially if some of the desktop stuff's just nuts. You know, if you get Arturia stuff and all these companies that making replicas, especially Arturia, they really do make the effort to, you know, replicate these vintage synthesizers, and it's really good. It really is. And you know, when you do stuff like this, you're only limited by your imagination, but you do need patience, I guess, you know, to do this for a few hours to create like a very short song sort of thing with not that much going on. Except that, like I said, you can change sounds for everything, for every single pattern if you want to. You know, and that includes the drum sounds and the kicks and the snares and whatever you pair pattern. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me this evening. I do appreciate it. Me and Joe both appreciate it very, very much. And I will hopefully see you all tomorrow. Ta-ra. Enjoy the rest of your evening or day. Oh, it's Mr. Leonelli. Hi, Dave. How are you? Right. Okay. Top job. Cool bananas. I'll see you later. Ta-ra.